Hi guys, my name is David and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be reviewing Cirque Du Freak by Darren Shan. Now this is my second time reading this book, or rereading it rather. I read this book the first time this year, probably around April or June. I know that it was one of the books that I was reading just before I left my previous job, and I didn't really want to do a video on it. As you can imagine, I was so focused on finding another job, which I've been settled into my new job for the past 3 months now, so that's all going well. So I have got the whole of the collection of the Cirque Du Freak series, and I wanted to read them, and I thought, because I'm doing a vampire themed month, that it would be appropriate for me to read at least the first 3 books in the series. So this is going to be a spoiler free video, and this is going to be my own thoughts and feelings regarding this book. So this story introduces us to our main character called Darren Shan. I'm not sure if Darren Shan is the author's real name, or if it's a made up name, or whether he's one of these weird people that likes to insert themselves into their own stories. But we are following Darren as he is a young boy. He's in school. He's doing the typical things. He's in a class, he's studying, he's trying to be a good student and be a good friend. And obviously he's got friends, and one day one of his friends shows him a leaflet that he's found about this mysterious freak show called Cirque Du Freak, and it mentions all the kind of weird things and people there. I mean, you can see all the exhibits basically. So I thought I'd just sit down. I'm getting a bit tired. So Darren and his friends look at this leaflet and are completely fixated on it. They are determined to go to this event, this circus, despite what their parents might actually say about it. And one of Darren's friends is called Steve. Now Steve is a complex character. He is very intelligent. He is a teacher's pet. He raises his hands numerous times, basically a male Hermione Granger. But Steve has got a darker side. He has the undercurrents of violence and being a bit of a rebel and a bad boy. But he and Darren are very good friends. In fact, they are best of friends. So because Steve has got the most money for this event, so he goes to this event and to this circus to buy tickets, but he can only buy 2 tickets to this mysterious circus. So they kind of do this thing where they decide about who goes with Steve to this circus, and by chance Darren is the one that gets or wins the last ticket. When they go to this circus, it's a very mysterious thing, and it's not quite what they would typically think, or what you would typically think as a freak show. That's basically what it is. This is a circus which shows all these oddities, and I don't really like to use the word freak, but that's what it is. That's what it's described in the book, and that's what I'm going to be mentioning it as during this video. So when they are watching these performers, these unusual individuals, they think that it's going to be all a show, all glitz and glamour, all basically fake. But they discover that all these individuals are real. Like there's this werewolf in the circus that they think that is a fake werewolf, but it turns out to be the real thing. So during this circus event, they witness this man who is a very peculiar looking individual and guy that has got this performing giant spider. So if you are afraid of spiders, probably don't read this book, as you do spend a lot of time with this spider. It's not sentient, it doesn't speak or anything like that. It's just a big ass spider that does tricks. But this spider is extremely deadly and poisonous. But this man has got a flute which can control it. So Steve, when he sees this man, he is completely fixated on him, and we find out that because Steve reads all this weird stuff, all these weird books, and when he sees this man, he instantly recognizes him as being a vampire that he has seen within one of these books that he reads. So after the show, he confronts him and says, right, I know who you are, I know what you are, but I want you to turn me into a vampire myself. Ultimately, this doesn't really go as Steve wants. He is kind of rejected by the vampire, as the vampire tells Steve that that his blood is bad, that he is evil. And that's the thing with vampires in this book, is that they aren't perceived to be evil creatures of the night. They are perceived to be, they're not bad and they're not good. They're just people, you and me. For example, we as a species, we kill each other, but it doesn't necessarily mean that we are good or not necessarily bad. I think that's where the book is going. So after Steve is rejected, Darren is overhearing this conversation at this point, and he's completely baffled and shocked that his friend wants to become a blood-sucking fiend. So, but at the same time, he is completely fixated on this spider. Darren wants to get this spider, as he has fantasies about getting this spider and performing all these acts with this spider and impressing all of his friends, I guess. So Darren actually gets this spider, and he trains it, and to a certain extent, and ultimately Steve knows that Darren has been acting weird around him, and he goes to visit Darren to see what's wrong, and Darren tells him that he has taken this spider and is training this spider to do tricks. So while Darren and Steve are admiring this spider, I just want to go back to the fact that it's imperative that Darren keeps on playing this flute and no loud noises happen, because if it does, then the spider will kind of go out of its trance, which is in by this flute, and all hell will break loose. This actually happens, which results in Steve getting bitten. Now, because the venom of this spider is extremely toxic and is very, very, very fatal, with an extra very thrown in there for good measure, he doesn't know what to do. He is scared, and he goes and takes his friend to the hospital to try to get him cured, and no one knows what to actually do. They're at a loss. They don't know what's happened to Steve. They don't know how to cure him, and he is in a coma. He's unconscious at this point, and it's not said, but it's basically implied that Steve will ultimately succumb to this spider's venom and pass away. So as you can imagine, Darren is very upset by this, and he wants to try to save his friends. And in order to actually do this, he goes to visit the vampire and pleads with him to cure Steve and to save his friends. But this comes at a cost that is very high for Darren to pay. to save his friend, he must make a decision to become a vampire himself, or a vampire's assistant rather, which is pretty much like a Renfield to this Dracula, you know, like to get him food and to make sure he's okay and protected and look after him, and ultimately become a vampire himself. And the result of doing this, he will ultimately have to give up his family and friends. He won't be able to see his family ever again, and he'll have to sacrifice them, not killing them, but leave and never see them again. So this is the price that Darren must pay to save his friends. But can he do this? Can he ultimately put all these sacrifices that he has to make in order to save Steve, his best friend? Can he actually do it? Yeah, it's very emotional. It's very tragic about this character and about what he has to do, because I know that this book, I mean, do not look at this book and think about it as, oh, that's a child's book, and just completely dismiss it straight away on the basis purely because it's a children's book. You do that at your own risk, guys. You do that at your own risk. This book has actually got loads of great messages in it. It does have, I mean, it's very emotional, it's very impactful, and I wouldn't dismiss it at all, especially if you are into vampires. Then I would highly recommend this book, as it's a very enjoyable book. It's a very easy book. You can you can read this very, very quickly. When it comes to the violence of it, it does, because it's a children's book, it doesn't have all blood, guts and gore. You know, no one gets, you know, massive amounts of blood going out their arteries, and no one gets their throats ripped out. But it's more about the characters rather than all blood, guts and gore. So hopefully I've done this book justice. Hopefully I haven't given too many things away. I really enjoyed this book on a second time rereading it. I didn't really have any instances where I discovered anything different or anything new on the reread, because sometimes you discover and notice things that you missed on your first time around. I didn't really get that here. But it was a very enjoyable book. Would I reread it for a third time? Who actually knows? But I am looking forward immensely to picking up the second book, which is called The Vampire's Assistant, which I'm going to be reading on Monday. Looking forward to that. And yeah, I mean, let me know if you read this book and what did you think about it. Did you like it? I better kind of round it off here, guys, because my phone's going to run out of power. But I rated this 4 stars out of 5, and yeah, that's what I'm going to be giving it. I would highly recommend that you read this book, guys. It is excellent. So I better cut it off here before my phone dies. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.